Ford has slapped the Tremor package on the Explorer, and Kia says that the Telluride X-Pro is more capable than ever. So I have got 2 3-row SUVs and a whole bunch of dirt.
We're Edmunds, and we test hundreds of cars each year on the road and at our private track, so you get the most trusted reviews. If you want to know which car, truck, or SUV is the best, then stick with us.
So it seems that every manufacturer is getting into off-road these days. I mean, we've got trims called the Woodland, the Wilderness, the Rock Creek, the Trail Boss, the Trail Sport, the Trail Hunter. I mean, there are so many options out there. So today I've got 2 soft roaders, and you can think of these as like the gateway drug into off-roading. I mean, yeah, they're not gonna be super fast through the whoops, but they are more capable than you would think. So let's go. Now, this hill might be a little bit more spicy than what your average Telluride and Explorer buyer are going to tackle, but we love it. See, we've had actual 4x4s here fail because they didn't have a proper locking differential. So this hill is really good at testing the all-wheel drive systems, the traction control, and the ground clearance. Now, if you want to find out what either of these vehicles are like to drive in the real world, or you maybe want to pick one up and you want to see what price you should pay, we've got some links in the description, or you can hit either of those QR codes. Now, the Explorer does have a terrain management system, but it doesn't have any kind of a 4-low. So I'm gonna have to rely on the all-wheel drive system and a little bit of momentum to get me up this hill. Not too much, but I'm gonna go into off-road mode, and that puts my cameras on automatically. Let's get that one all set up. Okay, that's good. Now, I've got 8.7 inches of ground clearance, and that is not a lot. A Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness has more, but I am wearing 31-inch Bridgestone Duelers, and I think you could actually fit 32s in here. All right, there's the first hole. Not bad. Oh, no, oh, come on, boy, you got it. So I had to give it a little bit of extra throttle, and I can really hear those tires spinning. It is not happy. Whoa! Back end's kicking out a little bit. There we go. Oh, holy crap. That was way more spicy than I thought it was gonna be. Yeah, so I can really feel I've got a lot of slip happening back there in the rear, and at one point it kind of kicked me out. This video is brought to you by bumper.com. Whether you're buying gas or electric, check out bumper.com. With just a VIN or a license plate number, you can learn all about a car's history quick. You can find out how many owners a used car has had, where it was registered, and more. So to learn more, go to bumper.com/Edmunds. Oh, did you get that on camera? So, yeah, that's why you want a little bit more ground clearance, right? I mean, listen, the light is really flat. My eyeballs didn't recognize that hole. They didn't see it in the camera either. That's why you want just a little bit more clearance to kind of make up for any of those human and technological difficulties that you might find. So this is the next generation of the Telluride, and this X-Pro has an improved terrain management system, but all I have is snow, mud, and sand, and this isn't any of those. But I'm gonna go for mud because, like, I want all 4 wheels to be working as much as possible. Again, no low gearing. I have an electronic limited slip in the back here, and I also have smaller tires. These are Continental Cross Contacts. So off-road mode, and I'm gonna hit this little button here because then I have all of these like cool diagnostics so we can see how steep this hill actually is. All right, we're coming up to that first hole. Since I don't have the camera, I'm just like taking a little mental picture. Got that hole is in there. Ooh, there was no wheel spin. Oh, front wheel way up, way up. Kicking out a little bit, but not too bad. This has way less wheel spin. Oh, there she goes. Kicking out a little bit, But not nearly as bad as what happened in the Explorer. The Explorer, it kind of felt like I was along for the ride. This one felt a lot more controlled. Even though I've got those smaller tires, even though that tread isn't quite as robust as what's happening on the Explorer, and even though I'm in mud as opposed to off-road mode. Like, very impressive, honestly, I gotta say, very impressive. And I've got more ground clearance, 9.1 inches, so I could probably go back and hit that hole that I hit in the Explorer and be fine, but you know what? I'm not going to, because I learned my lesson. And now it is time for the Ziggurat of Integrity. This tests a truck's flexibility, right? So big trucks can go all the way up here, they can keep a rear wheel on the ground, and that means that they've got a flexible chassis and they're gonna be able to crawl up and over rocks really easily. Now, with these vehicles, listen, it's gonna be a win if we can even just get it up the first step. But that means that when you're out there light off-roading, your approach angle means that you're not gonna hit anything and mess up that bumper. Now, the rigs that do the best out here are things like the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon that has like 40 bajillion million degrees of approach angle, but honestly, it's not bad. Couldn't make it past the first step. But remember, this doesn't have a rear locker. I think if we'd had a rear locker, we could have made it up here, but once that wheel starts spinning, we stop the Ziggurat test. But there's some things here that we can see. First, I love that Ford gives us this little highlighted area here around the valve stem, because when your wheel is covered in mud, sometimes it's hard to find that, and then it's hard to air up or air down. So that's a nice little touch. I can also kind of see in here that we've got some steel skid plates in the front and the rear, but I do want to talk about the suspension. So I don't have any kind of like fancy Fox shocks or anything. These are off-road tuned a little bit, but you guys, look at these control arms. They dip so far down beyond the skid plate. But look, if you get hung up, at least you got some tow hooks up here in the front.
Oh, this far away from the second curve. Oh. Oh, there you go.
So yeah, we were able to get up onto that first step, but listen, there is not a lot of clearance happening here, and there's a little mud flap guy. It's like a pencil width. But it allows me to see a little bit of what's going on underneath. There is a small steel bash plate along the front, but most of the engine, it's just covered with plastic, and there is nothing in the rear. I do like though, I got some tow hooks front and rear, baby. All right, so the Kia won the hill climb and the Ford won the Ziggurat. So what happens when we get them out to a washboard road? Now, it's kind of a bummer that you can't get Kia's really good hybrid powertrain with the Telluride X-Pro. I mean, that powertrain's great. But instead here we have a turbo 4-cylinder engine, and we've only got 274 horsepower, and it can only return 19 miles per gallon combined. Now, having said that, this is one of our favorite picks for a family-friendly SUV, and you can see how we like this vehicle and the Explorer. We've got a 9 SUV comparo up on the site, so check that out if you want to see how these compare to other vehicles in the class. And I love how quiet it is. I mean, you roll up the windows and the whole outside world just goes away. And because the tires aren't very aggressive, I mean, yeah, they're all-terrains, but they're not very aggressive. There's not a lot of tire noise either. Oh, and speaking of tires, you get a spare tire. It's a donut, but you get a spare tire, which, like, come on. Tire failures are the most common thing to happen off-road. Like, give me a full-size spare. Now you actually get some engine options in the Ford Explorer. The base model is a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder, but I am in the 3 liter V6, and that has got 400 horsepower and an EPA combined fuel rating of 19 miles per gallon. It is only available as part of the Tremor Ultimate package, and with that, you get things like massaging front seats, you get the power third row, you get a Blue Cruise trial. All of that sounds great, but you know how much it costs? Over $11,800. Like, come on. The massaging feature isn't even that great. Not worth it. The ride quality in this is also not as good as what's happening in the Telluride. The Telluride just seems to be a little bit smoother over these washboards, but I love the seats in the Explorer. I love, love, love them, and the heating element does not quit. Now, we talked a little bit about Blue Cruise. Now, Blue Cruise is great. It is a hands-free, eyes-up system. The Kia has something similar, but you have to keep your hands on the steering wheel at all times. The Ford does a really good job at isolating outdoor noises, and you do get a spare tire, but like the Kia, it is only a donut. Come on, you guys, if you're building these as off-road vehicles, you gotta have full-size spares. So the winner here really depends on your priority. Do you like really comfortable seats, or are you all about ride quality on these like washboard roads? So for that matter, in this particular case, I gotta give it to the Kia because it really is much more comfortable when the road just does da-da-da-da-da, right? But if I know I'm gonna be driving on the pavement more often, I might give it to the Ford because I really love hot cross buns. But for this test, Kia all the way. Now here's where we get to have a little bit of fun, because while these are both 3-row SUVs, they are really different under the hood. So this wash is going to test power delivery, traction control, and steering. So let's go fast. So in the Explorer, I got 400 horsepower, and most importantly, paddle shifters, baby. This means that I am in complete control of where this thing shifts so I can get the most out of these RPMs. Because in soft sand like this, trust me, you don't want low RPMs, you want to keep it high. And what I love, you guys, this steering is so good. Now this corner up here, traditionally every vehicle kind of understeers through here, but no, a little bit, but not too bad, not too bad. Oh, this is awesome. You can really tell that Ford has got some racing DNA because the power is getting down to the sand in here really, really nicely. Okay, don't hit that rock right there. Perfect. Oh my God, 50 miles per hour. You gotta get on the brakes here. I think I might have messed up the sound guy's equipment. But listen, really nice job here, Ford. I mean, the steering is nice and responsive. The power just wants to get down to the sand. And because I have these paddle shifters, I'm in control. The vehicle is not shifting for like fuel economy or whatever. It is allowing me to control it just for off-road prowess. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Here we go. Suck it, haters. Okay, yeah, I mean, like I'm bombing through this wash, but y'all, we do real world testing too, and we've got all of our rankings, ratings, and reviews over on the site, and we update them all of the time. So the Kia's at an obvious disadvantage here, right? I'm down on power and I'm down over 100 pound-feet of torque. The Telluride also has paddle shifters, but it doesn't seem to be a true manual mode like what we get on the Explorer. And with sand, you really want to stay in the high revs because you want to stay on top of it. Now, I do have a little bit of bogginess when I'm first starting out, but once I get on top, like, it's not bad. And the steering feels pretty good too. But overall, this thing just feels a lot bigger. And I don't know if it's just because the cabin feels bigger or what it is, but it doesn't feel quite as nimble as what was going on in the Ford. So let's see, braking here. Yeah, full ABS brakes onto that. Woof. Yeah, buddy. So it takes a little bit more work to get the Kia up on top of the sand, but once you're there, like, I'm not mad at the power delivery and I'm not mad at the steering. Yeah, surprisingly good. But as much as I'm impressed with the Telluride right here, I gotta give it to the Ford. It's got more power and it just overall feels much more nimble and a little bit more fun. So if you like these videos where we test out the soft roaders, give us the old like and subscribe and you'll never miss a single one. All right, it's the end of the day, and guess what? We are tied. The Kia won the hill climb and the trail ride, and then the Ford came out on top on the Ziggurat and in the high-speed wash. So that means that it's all gonna come down to value as the tiebreaker. So if you look at the price of each of these packages when compared to the adjacent lower trim, to get an X-Pro for the Kia, it's gonna cost you about $2,100. Now, if you want the top of the line X-Pro, it's about $5,000, and that gets you a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily need for off-roading. In this Explorer, it's gonna be about $5,000 to get into a Tremor. But if you want the bigger engine, you have to get all of that other stuff, and that package is nearly 12 grand. 12 grand, I mean, come on. When it comes to value, like, the Telluride takes it. And that means for today, the fancy pants family hauler Kia Telluride takes the win. Now, for me, I don't know. I really like this engine. I don't know if I like it $12,000, but I really like it. So I have to go away and think about this. No, I'm not spending $12,000 for this engine. I'm with the Telluride. Thanks for watching on this windy, blustery day. We certainly do appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time.